Here we have a Kubernetes 1.21.6 cluster, and Kubernetes is already installed with Portworx. You can see one pool here with a couple of volumes. This PVC volume here is actually attached to a real application that we're going to be working with for today's demo on Trash Can. So let's dive into what pods and PVCs are running. We have a counter application and a Postgres database backed by this PVC, which is the PX Postgres storage class, which you see here in the screen. Now, let's go to the application and add some data. This is a pretty simple application. You click on the screen and it adds a record to that Postgres database. You can see there's 5 database records. It's persistent, which means we can refresh and everything stays because it fetches this information from that Postgres database. Now, we definitely don't want to lose this data. Now, let's imagine it's much more critical data than just some coordinates on the screen, but we do want to protect against data loss no matter what. So here we're going to actually dive into what Trash Can actually is. Trash Can is made up of a few different things. One is the volume expiration minutes setting. So you can see the current setting is set to 0. 0 just means that by default, Portworx will delete and actually delete the data that you asked for it to delete when you asked for it to be deleted, meaning that this is the default. When you delete a volume, your data is gone. So what Trash Can helps us do is allow us to save from accidental deletions, meaning that we can set this volume expiration minutes to 720 minutes or 12 hours. And we can see by listing this again that our expiration is now 12 hours. So what does this actually do? Well, here in our Postgres YAML file, we see we have a Postgres data PVC, and this reclaim policy is set to delete. Now, Kubernetes does this by default. They set reclaim policy to delete. And if you don't change it to retain or something like that, your data in your volume actually gets wiped out and deleted if you delete the PVC object associated with that volume, meaning that if you delete the Kubernetes object, the data inside that volume actually gets deleted without updating it to retain or something like that. So we're going to simulate someone and just deleting the deployment and the PVC object, thinking maybe, we'll just get rid of these objects and create new ones, not knowing they may have deleted actual data behind the scenes because that reclaim policy by default was set to delete. We know in the background what's happening is the volume actually gets deleted along with all the data in that volume. So what we can see here is that our Postgres database here and our Postgres data volume are being deleted, terminating in Kubernetes terms. And if we list our volume at the Portworx level, it's gone. So now we can see our database is gone, PVC is gone, data is gone. We go back to the application and we see it struggling or failing in this case because the database is now gone. So our data is gone. What we did was set up the Trash Can expiry earlier. So what we can do is list volumes with a -- trash can. And here we see our volume has been saved and it has an expiration of about 12 hours or 11 hours, 59 minutes and 21 seconds in this case. And we know that this Trash Can volume is the thing we accidentally just deleted. So it's kind of saving us here. And now we need to know how to restore it. Now that we know it's in the Trash Can, we're saved by Portworx, we need to restore this volume. So the way you do this is with pixie-cuddle, volume restore, Trash Can, the name of the volume in the Trash Can, and then the volume name you want to restore it to. So it's just the PVC name without the -tc and the ID there. So now the volume's restored. If we list it, there it is, just as we kind of left it or thought we left it. And we've taken it out of the Trash Can and put back into our production volumes. Now, what we're going to do is create a new persistent volume, not a PVC, but a persistent volume, representative of real volume in the backend. So we're going to give it the name we wanted it, and then the actual Portworx volume ID. And this will tie a new PV object to this volume ID so that we can spin up our application, which has the PVC and the deployment in it, and reuse the data. Now, there'll probably be some automation around this that most would want, and probably going to be something in Stork in Portworx later on. But for now, you can definitely just do it this way. And now that our PV is listed and available, the status is available because it's just representative of the real volume that we've taken out of the trash can. Now we're going to have to recreate our application because our application here in the YAML files define the deployment and they define the PVC. So here you can see the PVC and the deployment get recreated, and our volume now lists as bound. And what we can do is our application's back up and running, and we can see it's bound. So in theory, our application should be responsive. Now, this application wasn't designed to be responsive, so we're just going to restart the web interface in this case by doing a quick restart. And then we'll be able to go back to the web browser. You can see it's back up and running, and everything should be connected. So now let's do a quick refresh, and there's our 5 database records. And that's how Trash Can works, and I hope you find the value in it. And until next time, take care.